Murad II, when called from his viceroyalty in Asia Minor to become the sovereign of the Turkish Empire, was only 18 years of age. He was solemnly recognized as Sultan, and girt with the sabre of Osman at Bursa, and the troops and officers of state paid willing homage to him as their sovereign. But his reign was soon troubled by insurrection. The Greek emperor, despising the use of Amurath, released the pretender Mustafa from confinement and acknowledged him as the legitimate heir to the throne of Bayezid, having first stipulated with him that he should be successful, repaid the Greek emperor for his liberation. By the cession of the large number of important cities, the pretender was landed by the Byzantine galleys in the European dominions of the Sultan, and for a time made rapid progress. Large bodies of the Turkish soldiery joined him, and he defeated and killed the veteran General Bayezid Pasha, whom Murat first sent against him. He then crossed the Dardanelles to Asia with a large army, but the young Sultan showed in this emergency that he possessed military and political abilities worthy of the best of his ancestor. Mustafa was outmaneuvered in the field, and his troops, whose affection to his person and confidence in his cause he had lost his by his violence and incapacity, passed over in a large numbers to Amurath. Mustafa took refuge in the strong city of Gallipoli, but the Sultan, who was greatly aided by a Genoese commandant named Adrono, besieged him there and stormed the place. Mustafa was taken and put to death, and the Sultan then turned his arms against the Greek emperor and declared his resolution to punish the unprovoked enmity of Palaeologus by the capture of Constantinople. The embassies charged with abject apology by which the Greeks now sought to appease the Sultan's wrath were dismissed with contempt, and in the beginning of June 1422 Amurath was before the trembling capital with 20,000 of the best troops, 10,000 of the dreaded Akinji under their hereditary commander Michael Bey had previously been let loose by the Sultan upon the lands which the Greek emperor yet retained beyond the city walls, and had spared fire and desolation throughout the doomed territory, without any attempt being made in the Byzantines to check or to average their ravages. Amurath's own army seemed still more irresistible, and the Sultan carried on the siege with a degree of skill skill as well as vigor, rarely to be found in the military operation of that age. He formed a line of embankment only a bow shot from the city wall, and extended it from the sea to the Golden Horn, so as to face the whole land outside the city. This rampart was formed of strong timber with a thick moat of earth heaped up along its front, and it received uninjured the discharges of firearms and the shocks of the heaviest stones that the ballistas of the Greeks could hurl against it. On the cover of this line, Amura's army urged on the work of attack. Movable towers were built to convey storming parties of the summit of the city wall. Mines were laboriously pushed forward, and breaching cannon were now for the first time employed by the Ottomans, but with little effect. Wishing to increase the zeal and the number of the assailants, Amurath proclaimed that the city and all its treasures should be given up to the true believers, who would storm it, and crowds of fanatic volunteers flocked up to camp to share in the harvest of pity and plunder. Among the recruits were a large number of dervishes, headed by a renowned saint named Sayyid Buhari, who announced the day and the hour at which it was fated for him to lead the Mahometans to the capture of Constantinople. Accordingly, at the appointed time, 1 hour after noon on Monday, the 25th of August 1422, Sayyid Buhari led on the Ottoman army to the assault 500 dervishes, who had stipulated that the Christian nuns of Constantinople should be assigned as their particular share of the booty formed the forlorn hope of the stormers. The Ottoman attacked vehemently, and he and the Greeks resisted steadily along the whole length of the city wall. But it was near the gate of the Romanos that the combat raged most fiercely. The Christians as well as the Mohammedans were animated by religious enthusiasm, and by the assurance that their arms were aided by the interposition of supernatural power. At the last some said that they beheld, and all believed that there was seen on the outer bastions a bright apparition of a virgin robed in a garments of violet hue of dazzling lustre, whose looks darted panic amid the assailling columns. This was the Panagia, the Holy Virgin, who had descended for the special protection of the scarlet maid of the Christian city from the boastful impiety of the monks of Mahomet. The besiegers themselves, not unwilling, perfect, unwilling perhaps to find some pretext for their defeat, besides the strength of the fortification and the bravery of the defenders, give credit and confirmation to this legend. It is certain that the attack failed and that the siege was soon afterwards raised, but it is little constant with the character of Amurath that a single repulse in which the loss of life was inconsiderable should have made him abandon a siege for which he had made such ample and scientific preparations. The intrigues of the Byzantine emperor had lit up a new civil war in his enemies' Asiatic dominions, and Amurath, like his grandfather Bayezid, was obliged to relinquish Constantinople. When the prize seemed to be within his grasp, and the fight for safety as well as for empire on the eastern side of the Bosporus, besides the two infant brothers of whom mention has already been made, Amurath had another brother named Mustafa, who was in Asia Minor at the time of their father's death. Prince Mustafa was of the age of 13 when that event occurred, and his attendants, ignorant of the character of Amurath, fled with their princely charge into Karamania. He had grown up to manhood there without Amurath making any attempt against his life or liberty. But after the overthrow of the pretender Mustafa, his supposed uncle, he listened to the suggestions and promises of the emissaries whom the Greek emperor now sent to him, and being supported with some troops by the princes of Karamania and Kermia, he suddenly invaded his brother's dominions, made himself master of several places of importance, and laid siege to Bursa. The rapidity with which Amurath marched a veteran and well-appointed army to the rescue disconcerted only young Mustafa's project. The Ottoman who had joined him after his first success deserted him. His Greek allies were far too feeble to encounter Amurath's forces, and the unfortunate prince fled for his life, but was pursued, overtaken, and captured by some of his brother's officers, who instantly hanged their prisoner on the nearest tree, without giving an opportunity on their master either to exercise the perilous clemency, or to become an actual participator in taking away his brother's life. The civil war was thus promptly extinguished, and in 1424 Amurath returned to empire, having re-established perfect order in his Asiatic provinces and captivated the neighboring sovereigns, who had promoted the late hostilities against them. Amurath did not renew the siege of Constantinople, but accepted a treaty by which the Greek emperor bound himself to pay an annual tribute of 30,000 ducats to the Sultan, and surrounded the city of Zaytun, and all the other remaining Greek cities on the river Stramolololo, and the Black Sea, except Selibalala and Derkolololo. In 1413, Amurath besieged and captured the important city of Thessalonica, Selanik, which had thrown off its allegiance to the emperor, and placed itself under the protection of the Venetians, who were at the time in enmity with the Sultan. Other accessions of power in the same quarter and successful hostilities with various Asiatic princes are recorded in the detailed narratives of the acts of Amurath, but the main feature of the reign of this great Sultan is his long contest with the warlike nations on the northern and western frontiers of his European dominions, a struggle marked by many vicissitudes, and which called forth into energetic action the high qualities of Amurath himself and also of his renowned opponents, Hunyades, the hero of Hungary, and Skanderbeg, the champion of Albania. We have seen how valuable to the Turkish Empire in its season of disaster after the overthrow of Sultan Bayezid was the steady fidelity and friendship with which the Lord of Syria, Stefan Lazarevich, adhered to his engagements with the House of Ottoman. That prince died in 1427, and his successor George Branković, who was bound by no personal ties, like those of his predecessor, to the interest of the Ottomans, resolved to check their further progress. The Hungarians, also whom the recollection of dreadful defeat at Nicopolis had kept inactive during the temporary dismemberment and feebleness of the power which had smitten them, now felt their marital confidence in their own prowess revive, and their jealousy of the growth of the Turkish dominion was awakened.